That got quiet really quick. We have like 37 more seconds to keep talking.
It's the quietest wrestlers have ever been.
Yeah.
Come on now.
No. Look, right here. As soon as Astro's done with their presentation, we'll just go item 6. We gave direction to staff, and I'll plug you.
That one's off.
Good evening. The time being 6:30 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Murdoch. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Gilbert.
Here.
Councilmember Patassi.
Here.
Councilmember Kettering.
Here.
And Mayor Barrios.
Here. Please note all 5 of us are present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing. The invocation provided by Steve Newbaum of Life Point Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Well, Lord, I want to thank you so much for the opportunity and the blessing to live in this community. And Lord, I thank you for this city council. I pray that you would give them wisdom and clarity as they make decisions for our community. Lord, a special protection around our first responders, firefighters, police officers. Would you continue to be a shield about them and protect them? And Lord, for this tragedy in Knights Ferry, for all those affected, Lord, would you bring comfort to them and their families? I pray this all in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Steve. All right, at this time, if we could have Coach Steve Strange come up to the mic. It's pretty impressive. I had one young man right here say the last time he was here was his freshman year, so it's pretty cool to have you back here. Your senior year. All right, Coach, so tell us a little bit about why you're here tonight.
Okay, so out of the 200 schools in the Sac Joaquin section, that's all schools, small to big, on 2 days, this team came out on top at the Division I dual championships and the Masters, Sac Joaquin section Masters champions. So they're the #1 team in the entire section. They're a little bit of an underdog story. At the beginning of the year preseason, this is not the preseason #1 team. This team, they came together and got better each week. And in the end, out of the 14 weight classes, out of, like I said, there's 200 teams. So you have to first make your varsity lineup. Then you have to go to the league tournament and place there. Then you have to go to the divisional and place there. Then you have to get to the Masters. It's a 32-man bracket. So out of all 14 of the Oakdale wrestlers made it to Masters, and out of those 14, 12 of them placed in the top 8 of their weight classes. Wow. So it's very, very impressive. Very impressive. Complete team effort, and that goes for our coaching staff and our parents, and these guys on a month, almost a year-round commitment by a lot of them to pull this thing off. So we're very, very pleased and very proud of our young men, and nice job, guys. Thank you.
Good job. So absolutely true grit for the Oakdale High School Mustang wrestlers, and we're going to go ahead and present you with some certificates. We're just very, very proud of you, so congratulations.
Israel Mercado. Zeke Meza. Avery Jones. Michelangelo De Leon. Brooklyn Harper. Grant Dixon, Xander Barakos, Cody Soares, Griffin Gerber, Jesse Meza, Jake Simmons, Ezekiel Hernandez, Wes Burford, Matthew Cooley.
All right, so you guys are all welcome to stay and join us for our 19-hour council meeting, or you're welcome to get up and go, whatever you'd like.
I just want to say something to all you wrestlers real quick, that it is awesome to see what you guys have accomplished, and it hits a little bit deeper. I watched most of you boys get to where you are now by, my oldest was wrestling too with you guys. He's a little bit younger, but to see you guys as young little boys running around, shoes untied, shirts all, just a mess everywhere, and seeing the young men you guys are now and going in and wrestling with some of you and just being there and watching how much you guys have accomplished, it hits the heart in a different way than a lot of people understand. From the parents to the coaches to sitting at the tournaments for hours, for years, the drives. You guys keep it up. You guys are amazing, and wrestling's the toughest sport on the planet for a reason, and the wrestlers are the toughest on the planet for a reason. So keep it up. You guys represent Oakdale well, and I pray and hope that you guys continue on, because you guys are all studs, and you should be very proud of yourself.
Congratulations, guys. Good job, guys. I don't know. Is it their coach? I don't know. All right. So next item on the agenda will be item 5.2 with Astro presentation. So come on up to the mic. How you doing, Jadine?
Just in time.
Perfect.
Try not to take up the whole 18 and a half hours we are.
Oh, okay, there you go. You can still stay with us the whole time, right?
So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jadine Vicente. I'm the founder and president of Astro. Oh, is that better? Well, look at that. I need one of these for at home.
Same.
So I'm Jadine Vicente. I'm the founder and president of Astro Foundation. Most of you are familiar with us. For those who are not, Astro actually stands for Animal Shelter to Riverbank and Oakdale. We incorporated in 2012, got our nonprofit status in 2014, and have been pulling animals from the Oakdale Animal Shelter for rescue ever since. So my goal tonight is just to tell you a little bit about what we accomplished in 2025 so that you're aware of what we actually provide in terms of service to the city and the community. Since we started in 2012, we've saved over 11,000 cats and dogs. In 2025 alone, we had 1,074 live outcomes, and we did 241 cats processed through their Trap, Neuter, Vaccinate, and Release program in partnership with the city and Best Friends Animal Society. Our total intake was 1,165 animals. Okay, so this is just a little bit about Astro. Again, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, and our goal is to provide relief to the City of Oakdale Animal Shelter, so we only take animals from the areas that the City of Oakdale services, which are the cities of Oakdale, Riverbank, and Escalon. Our board of directors are all volunteers. Some of us are retired, some of us are not. None of us take a salary. In fact, we donate tens of thousands of dollars to this organization. Our board of directors have expertise in business management, banking, finance, marketing, and human resources. So we have a good group of folks helping us out. And when it's needed, we roll our sleeves up and go down there and help clean up dog pens and cat kennels as well. This is our new space. As most of you are aware, we purchased the old Oakdale Vet Group building at 20 South Stearns Road in Oakdale last year. We're open to the public Wednesday through Sunday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the center houses roughly 60 cats around the clock and 4 to 5 dogs. Sometimes we squeeze more in there, like during kitten season, which is happening right now. We provide veterinary care to the animals that we rescue, vaccinate them, treat for fleas, worms, and we spay or neuter and provide microchipping before we adopt them out. So all animals are fully vetted before they are adopted out to the public. Our center is designed with shelter medicine best practices in place to reduce stress and promote happy, healthy pets, hopefully for adoption. The Oakdale Animal Shelter, the city shelter, as you know, was built in the 1970s to serve a population of 5,000 people. It now serves a growing population of 57,000, and Astro Foundation exists to offset that burden to them and decrease the euthanasia rates. We save the lives of adoptable animals, including those with treatable illnesses and ailments that would otherwise face euthanasia in the municipal shelter. So we do a lot of special needs cases in addition to the healthy pets. And we find loving homes for them through our adoption events at Petco of Riverbank and our new adoption center at 20 South Stearns. We provide a welcoming space for local animal lovers to volunteer, offering them a sense of community. We couldn't do what we do without our volunteers because we have a pretty small staff. And then we educate the public on responsible pet ownership, including the importance of spay, neuter, vaccinations, microchip registration, and more. We field thousands of calls, messages, emails. We try to respond to every message. It's a little difficult sometimes. Right now we're getting 10 to 15 calls per day of people finding baby kittens, so it's a challenge, but we do our best. Current projects we have going on are our community cat trap, neuter, vaccinate, release program that we're doing again with financial support from Best Friends Animal Society and in partnership with the City of Oakdale, working to reduce the city's euthanasia rates and burden with these community cats. Then we're also working right now to establish an on-site surgery suite for our rescue cats and the community cats that we trap, neuter, release. As you know, we're in what was previously an operating veterinary building, so we're talking to veterinarians now about getting that going up and running. We actually just received our California state permit to operate as a veterinary hospital, so that's pretty cool. We have a really small staff, 4 employees, 50-plus volunteers and pet fosters, and just a hardworking board of directors, so we are very dependent on all of our volunteers to help make that happen. We leverage relationships with a network of nonprofits to maximize resources, including close relationships with the City of Oakdale and Oakdale Shelter Pet Alliance and Cat Network of Stanislaus County. We do not receive any government funding. We are 100% supported by private donations. Occasionally, we do receive a nice little grant. And most importantly, we are supported by the funds generated through the Astro Thrift and Gift Shop. Astro Thrift and Gift Shop was opened in 2015 to financially support the needs of our rescue pets. It's located at 250 East E Street, as many of you know. It's leased to us very generously for $1 a year by the City of Oakdale, which we very much appreciate. We would not be able to do what we do without it. Again, this building is provided to us by the City of Oakdale. Everything we sell in there is donated by members of the community. We generally tend to try to sell nicer things. We have such a small space. We tend to be a little selective. But 28% of our financial support is generated by that shop. So again, we could not do what we do without the use of that shop. So I just want to let you all know how grateful we all are to the City of Oakdale for the use of that building and allowing us to raise the money we need to save all these animals. Just looking at the numbers, in 2025, we transferred 631 cats out of the City of Oakdale Animal Shelter to Astro. We took in an additional 500, or that was cats and dogs, sorry, not just cats, cats and dogs. We took in an additional 534 cats and dogs from Oakdale, Riverbank, and Escalon areas, so diverting those pets from ever entering the shelter. And we took 241 community cats from the shelter, spayed or neutered them, and returned to field with the hope that eventually those numbers will dwindle as they're no longer able to reproduce. Our total operational expenses in 2025 were $495,000. So this is not an inexpensive endeavor. Ways that people can support us: they can volunteer, help at the thrift shop, help take care of cats, walk dogs, all kinds of things people can do. People can volunteer to foster animals in their home, which is tremendously helpful and frees up space in our adoption center for us to pull more from the city shelter. You can adopt a pet, that's always great. Or shop at our local thrift and gift shop. Ways that people can support us financially is through our Paw It Forward program, where people can give a set amount monthly, $20 a month, $5 a month. People sometimes give us tribute gifts or sponsor a pet. And then we do offer some corporate sponsorships as well, if any local businesses are interested. But just overall, that's pretty much it for the presentation, but really just wanted to talk about what those numbers mean for the City of Oakdale in terms of savings. We took in 1,165 total animals divided by our cost of operations. It comes to about $425 per animal. That's what we spend. Most municipal shelters on average nationwide spend between $300 and $700 per animal. It obviously varies depending on the animal and the municipality. But even on the low end, if the cost to the city per animal that they took in was $300 per pet, to process it, to care for it, to adopt it out, or terminate it if that's what's needed, the savings to the city that's provided by Astro Foundation is about $350,000 annually. So again, I just want to thank you so much for allowing us the use of that thrift shop building. We could not do this without the use of that building. But we hope that you'll see through what we provide to the city that this partnership is valuable and worth continuing. That's it. Any questions for me?
So I remember a few years ago, Lieutenant Stever did that study, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and it was $300,000 at the time. So now it's $350,000, and I just want to say thank you very much for going above and beyond. I know you're a volunteer or voluntold, and you work 24/7. I believe your husband is out there in the crowd.
He's hiding in the back.
Yeah, I see, but I see him. I believe he knows very well that you work 24/7.
I do.
On this, and your team as well. So
Yeah.
thank you to Astro.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Can I just add something to that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when Lieutenant Stever did his analysis on what it was saving the city, he used a completely different formula to come up with the $300,000.
No.
So it just demonstrates that using different formulas, you come up to the same result. So the 350 is an actual number that the city's saving.
That's great.
Yeah.
Big
Anyway.
time. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jadine. Thank you,
Yeah,
Astro.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
And just to add to that, I think 11.2 or 11.3 is something that has to do with the animal shelter and improvements out there, so stand by.
For item 6, for report out of closed session, we gave direction to staff.
Thank you. All right, now is the time for public comment. If you wish to provide public comment on an item that is not on the agenda, come up to the mic, state your name, and you will have 3 minutes. Come on up. Good evening. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Narendra Bahia, and I'm a Senior District Representative for Senator Marie Alvarado Gil. I will be providing a legislative update. Senate Bill 1397, Human Mountain Lion Conflict Program. This Senate bill cleared the Senate Natural Resource and Water Committee last week. The bill requires the California Department of Fish and Wildlife to maintain, enhance, and expand its Human Mountain Lion Conflict Program, with the clear focus on non-lethal deterrence, scientific research, public education, and proactive responses to keep families, livestock, and pets safe. It mandates regular engagement with high-conflict counties, annual legislative updates, and a full report to lawmakers in 2031. If anyone needs any assistance with any state issues or legislative questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to contact our office at 209-576-6001. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You've always been a great representative for the senator. Appreciate you being here tonight. All right, anybody else for public comment? Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you so much for giving me this time. My name is Deborah Hendricks. I'm a product of your community. I went here with Cloverland School, junior high, and all the way through high school. I got into education after graduating from Modesto Junior College, Stanislaus State, and then moved into being a superintendent for Sylvan Union School District, which I'm retired from, but it was an honor. I just wanted to introduce myself to let you know. In July, I'm going to be pulling paperwork to run for the Yosemite Community College Board, District 2, which encompasses a large area of Oakdale. I'm very excited to serve the community and to allow and elevate the board, especially to support staff and students. I know there's a lot of students in Oakdale and Modesto that take advantage of their programs, which they have many, and they're doing a great job. I just want to be that board member that's engaged and helps to continue to make growth in many areas. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Deborah. All right, anyone else for public comment? Good evening.
Hello, my name is Mary Buchanan, and the reason I'm up here is just to remind everyone that this Saturday is Love Oakdale. It's a great way to give back to your community. There's lots of projects that you can sign up for, and I just happen to be running a project at the Oakdale Junior High School. I'd love to have anybody who is interested in signing up to join my team, and there's all kinds of different projects that are available. Great way to give back to the city and have a great day. It's only a couple of hours of work, but you really do get a great feeling of it and really accomplishing what you've done. So please sign up, loveoakdale.com, and that's it. Thank you.
Mary. Good to see you again. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Ardiel Rivera. I have 2 issues I would like to address today. I have pictures of one is the backside of my property where the alley or slash easement is nothing but to my left side and my right side is blocked with debris, grass, fire season's coming. I lived here 9 years. I property owner for 9 years, and I would like to see some kind of changes on that. And then the other, I have received a letter about 4 years ago that our street on Birdwell, we would have new pavement, and on the pictures it shows the work that has been done, and it looks like, you know, the city did a poor job on the pavement. We have potholes, we have flowers growing on the side of the streets. My tires, my daughter's car, the suspensions, the tires and stuff, I would like for that to be addressed.
Have you left your number with the city already?
No.
Have you called Public Works? Do you want to take contact information? Why don't you go ahead and leave your contact information with Colleen, please? Thank you. All right, thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Come on up, Bianca. Good evening.
Good evening. Mayor, council members, and the rest of the staff. My name is Bianca Signorelli. I'm here tonight because I'm concerned about the proposed increases to our water and sewer rates. I've submitted a formal letter to the city clerk for the public record containing 5 specific technical questions, but I would like to highlight the most critical points for you now. There's a double whammy. So, the treatment plant and senior discount. First, our community recently supported a massive overhaul of the wastewater treatment plant. We understood that those projects required funding. However, we need a clear side-by-side comparison showing how those previously approved rates differ from what is being proposed now. Are there new fees being simply stacked on top of the infrastructure fees we already started paying? Furthermore, we are facing a double whammy. The senior utility discount is scheduled to sunset on June 30th, I believe. For our elderly neighbors on fixed incomes, losing that discount while facing a new rate hike isn't just a minor adjustment, it's a financial crisis. Has the city analyzed the combined impact of these 2 actions on our most vulnerable residents? Accountability in the Prop 218 process. These rates must strictly reflect the cost of service. We want to know, is any of the new revenue being transferred to the general fund for non-utility expenses? Has the city looked at internal cost-saving measures like utilizing salary savings from vacant positions before asking the residents for more money? Transparency is key. We expect the city to provide a clear, standardized protest form and to maintain a public, transparent count of every written protest submitted by the community. We aren't just names on a billing cycle. We are the constituents, your constituents. I look forward to hearing the staff's specific responses to the questions in my letter during the reports, hopefully later tonight. Yeah, I lost my other one. So, and then I'll talk on the 2 subjects that are later in the.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bianca. Anyone else for public comment? Public comment is now closed. All right, appointments to boards, commissions. We're going to consider reappointing Will Jones and Ezra Ivy as commissioners to the Planning Commission to serve a 4-year term. Any questions, comments from the council?
This came up a little while ago, last year, where they came up and kind of told us their occupation and talked about what it is they do and
If they're
why they
here and
want
they
it.
would like to do that, they're welcome to do that.
Well, can you come up, please, if you're here?
We do have both Will and Ezra here. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are ya?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. So you are the chair for the Planning Commission?
Yes.
And is this your 2nd term? Would it be your 2nd term?
Yes, this will be my 2nd term.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm born and raised here in Oakdale. Was born back at Oak Valley Hospital back when babies were still born there. I went to college at University of Arizona where I studied urban planning and real estate development. And I came back to work for my family's real estate business.
Wonderful. Any questions for Will?
Nope. Thank you.
I know Councilmember Kettering and I interviewed them. It'd be a nice gesture to have both of us there, and Jeff learn a little bit about the process.
And I'll tell you, between the two, I learned more about what the Planning Commission did in those two interviews than I have in the entire little over a year I've been on City Council. The knowledge you had, the knowledge you've shared with me, the abilities that you have to look at Oakdale as a city and what you believe is in best interest of our entire community, I think would serve well continuing you on the Planning Commission.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Anything else from the council for Mr. Jones? All right, thanks, Will.
All right, thank you.
All right, Ezra, would you like to come up and say a few words?
Hello, I'm Ezra Ivy. We've lived in Oakdale for about 8 years now, maybe 9. I grew up in Ceres, California, close by, and lifelong Central Valley resident. Went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo for architecture, and I've been practicing architecture for about 25 years, mostly hospitals. So I know all about Oak Valley Hospital. And it's been a pleasure to serve these past 2 terms on the Planning Commission, and I look forward to the opportunity to serve for another term, just to help our community to continue to improve and to maintain the good things about Oakdale.
Thank you. Any
Thank you.
questions for Ezra?
Nope.
All right, thanks for coming up to the mic. Comments from the public?
I have a question overall.
Okay.
Do we want to wait till public talks or
No, you
after?
can ask.
Okay. The only reason why I ask is because last time there was a big uproar about because we accepted resumes or people that wanted to volunteer to be on the Planning Commission, and the lady I think that was scheduled to be appointed was a realtor, and so there was a big fuss about that. Nothing against Will. This is just from last time. I just want to make, did we put out if anybody else wants to volunteer and like be a part of it, or is this, because we pulled that from the agenda last time.
Yeah,
So I'm
what
just
happened
curious.
was we extended that an extra 30 days, and we shared it all over social media, and we got 0 people that wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So all this stuff on social media with them riling people up,
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to throw their name in the hat. So anyway, and the other 2 wanted to do it, so we just continued that.
Gotcha.
So, thanks for stepping up to the plate. It's a
Yeah,
big
like I
deal.
said, nothing against you guys. Just
Yeah.
I got asked the question since that's
Yeah.
what we did last time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Any comments from the public? Bianca?
Okay, I brought this up before here at the city council. Facebook is not the place to be publicizing what is needed for the city. We should be able to go to the site and see what's openings and those type of things. All of us should have one folk for. I never heard of it.
We shared it all over, and it was even in the Oakdale Leader. I know it's probably not the best place, but that's where a lot of people get their information. We want to make sure that to post it out there so everybody can see it.
Why can't there be a city site?
There-
To look at
Now's
that.
the time for public comment. It is on the city site, or you can always reach out to Colleen to find out what's open, what commissions are open. Thank you. All right, this is an action item. I'll bring it back to council.
I'll move to approve both continue their appointments on the Planning Commission.
Second.
First and a second roll call, please.
Councilmember Kettering,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch. Yes. Councilmember Patassi,
Yes.
and Mayor Barrios.
Yes, this item passes 5-0. Thank you, guys. All right, city council consent agenda. Would any council member like to pull an item to discuss? If not, this is an action item.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
First and a second roll call,
Um,
please.
We're not going to talk about 9.8 at all, or
No, it's on the consent agenda.
Do you have questions, comments?
I thought we were going to get more about it, but nope. Go ahead.
If you have questions, Jared, you can ask them now.
Yep.
I thought we were going to get more information about it. Is all. Like there was a presentation or something.
No presentation because it's on the consent agenda, and the staff report is in the packet.
Got it. Let's go then.
All right, so we have a first and a second.
Councilmember Kettering,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch. Yes. Councilmember Patassi,
Yes.
and Mayor Barrios.
Yes, this item passes 5-0. Thank you. And thank you for taking the time before the meeting to talk to me about this.
You're welcome.
All right, 11.1, staff report.
The timing is perfect for 11.1.
All right.
Okay, item 11.1 is City of Oakdale website enhancements, essentially new website.
That's great.
So consider a resolution approving the contract with Mid-Valley IT for the redesign of the City of Oakdale website in the amount of $11,782 to be funded by the IT Fund 525. So background, City of Oakdale had a website last designed in 2017. A lot has changed in 9 years. The current platform is outdated in both design and functionality. It doesn't work real good on phones, works okay on computers. It no longer meets current accessibility and performance standards, and it lacks full mobile responsiveness and ADA compliance. Why a redesign is needed? Well, it provides a modern, cohesive look and feel with consistent themes across all pages. So it's going to essentially get a full redesign with staff input on what we want. So it's going to be a more user-friendly, more adaptive, more comprehensive website that looks a lot cleaner. It's going to create intuitive navigation and user-friendly experience, and it's going to ensure full ADA and WCAG compliance, and that stands for American with Disabilities Act and Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Original compliance date for those two items for a city of our size is April 2027, so we have to be in compliance by 2027 with the ADA and WCAG compliance. They recently extended it to April of 2028 for cities of our size, but in our opinion, let's just get in compliance now. Proposed solution by Mid-Valley IT. Platform would be a WordPress content management system, custom theme development unique to the City of Oakdale, responsive design. In other words, it's going to be more responsive for mobile, tablet, and desktop. It's going to be fully compliant about 2 years in advance, and it'll be cloud hosted with system monitoring and security services by Mid-Valley IT. The scope of the work, it's going to be custom theme and layout with up to 62 pages with city input. News and article section, we could put like Planning Commission, like Ms. Signorelli suggested. That'll all be on there. Maybe easier to find. There will be a contact form so they can request more information. It'll be optimized through the Google search, and then intuitive main navigation. It'll have several other back pages, like we'll have the front home page, then we'll have news, department services, government, and so on. The fiscal impact is a total of $11,782. It'll be funded by the IT Fund 525. There's no impact to the general fund, and the amount has been budgeted for the current fiscal year. So staff, well, let me go back and say that we contacted several different companies that specialize in web pages, and we told them what our budget was. We wanted to keep it under 15,000, and nobody wanted to be responsive to our requests except for Mid-Valley. And they stepped up to the plate and got us under our budget with something that we think we're going to be very proud of. So staff recommends the City Council adopt the resolution approving the contract with Mid-Valley IT in the amount of $11,782 funded by the IT Fund 525. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions or comments for City Manager?
Jerry, when you say ADA compliant for the website, what does that entail that they're going to add?
I would assume that it's easier for people with sight disabilities to be able to read those kind of enhancements. I'm going to leave that up to Mid-Valley to make sure that we're compliant. But I assume that there's going to be some zoom capabilities or some zoom out capabilities so that it's more adaptive to some of the needs of some people that have those disabilities.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Comments from the public? Bianca? Perfect timing, right? Look at that.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Good, perfect.
There's hyperlinks.
Uh-oh, there you go. All right. Any comments from the public? All right, this is
Jared.
You said that the other companies didn't want to bid it because of our cap, or did they think it was going to take more? Or Like I mean, what?
They weren't gonna do it for that price.
Most website designers charge $15,000 at a base price for a website, so this is pretty cheap.
Nice.
All right, this is an action item.
Motion to approve?
First and a second roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Patassi,
Yes.
Councilmember Kettering,
Yes.
and Mayor Barros.
Yes, this item passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, 11.2.
We have Lieutenant Vanderheiden for this one. Can you confirm you have the clicker?
How you doing, Lieutenant?
Doing good.
Good. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me, Mayor, Council. This presentation is going to be on the expansion of the animal shelter. So for the community, my name is Gary Vanderheiden. I oversee the Oakdale Animal Shelter. So this is a consideration of a resolution authorizing the use of allocated funds for the expansion of the Oakdale Animal Shelter facility and authorizing staff to complete necessary improvements and building modifications. So currently the Oakdale Animal Shelter is operating beyond capacity, creating operational, public health, and animal welfare concerns. We currently have an overcrowding that's led to increased outbreaks of panleukopenia and parvovirus, as well as higher euthanasia rates due to limited space. Staff and volunteers are required to constantly relocate animals to maintain basic cleaning and sanitation. While a full facility replacement is a long-term goal, the immediate expansion is necessary to address current conditions. As you can see, this is our current facility. It is clean, sanitary, but it is compacted. With our staff and volunteers, we try our best. This is our outside kennels and inside. As you can see, we do have a small facility. We roughly have 24 kennels. So the inside, half of the kennels that are inside, they have an outside door so we can push the animal out. Then if we're reaching capacity, sometimes we'll have to block that off just to give extra space for overflow. We usually try to keep as many animals as possible before we have to consider euthanasia. So we have immediate expansion, our need. The current shelter configuration does not provide sufficient space to properly separate healthy, sick, and quarantine animals. This increases the risk of disease transmission and reduces the shelter's ability to provide humane and effective care. Without intervention, the shelter will continue to face increased spread of infectious diseases, higher euthanasia rates due to limited space, reduced quality of care for sheltered animals, continued operational strain for staff and volunteers. To address the current capacity challenges, staff has partnered with the Oakdale Public Works to prepare and grade land between the existing shelter and the wastewater treatment plant, providing enough space for at least 2 additional structures. As you can see, this is an aerial view. On the right side of the photograph, or my right, you can see where the gray portion is. This is the original view. There's a lot of grading that needs to be done, underground utilities need to be put in, and that ridge line right next to the dog park, that all needs to be cleared out. We can't do this without the Oakdale Public Works, and they've been extremely helpful, especially Jeff Roberts and Jeff Gravel. This is photographs of after the improvement. As you can see, everything is level. We have utilities plumbed in the ground. So the expansion is going to include possible acquisition and relocation of. We have a mobile office trailer, which we call the Parks trailer, or used to be the CAPS trailer. This is currently located at South 4th and East J. This is owned by us. It's a 12 foot by 40 foot, approximately 480 square feet. It does include a restroom, office space, and a general area. We also contacted Ceres Unified School District. They are in the process of removing portable classrooms. So we've looked at 2 double wides or a quad portable classroom. They're going to sell it to us for $1. So we're either gonna get the quad classroom, which we want, or we're gonna get 2 double wides on the property. So when we go to move, the transportation and placement's gonna be by Modular Solutions. They estimated the quote for $43,450 just for the move and placement. If they get to taking the quad apart, because it has to be in 4 pieces, if it's not a viable transport, we might have to go to Plan B, which would be the 2 quad classrooms or 2 double wide classrooms. And you can see photographs. So on the right, you'll see the Parks trailer. We're gonna move that since it's our property, probably later after the quad. In the middle is the quad itself, the pictures. And on my left is gonna be just a double wide standard portable classroom. So we plan to have the quad classroom, but it all depends on when we start taking things apart. The site improvement and facility upgrades, this project will include improvements to ensure functionality, safety, and compliance with animal care and standards. The interior renovations for canine and feline housing, installation of kennels and containment systems, flooring upgrades to improve sanitation and reduce disease, security fencing around the new structures, utility connections and site improvements. The staff will also work with ASTRO, OSPA, our staff, volunteers, and our veterinarian that provides services for us to ensure the facility improves our animal welfare for the community. Upon completion, the expansion project is expected to effectively more than double the shelter's current usable building space. Additional 1,920 square foot, or with the actual trailer, the Parks trailer, that's a total of 2,400 square feet. This is going to reduce the spread of the reduced disease spread through the improved animal segregation, decrease euthanasia from overcrowding, and improve working conditions and quality of care for the animal shelter. These photographs are just some of the concept ideas for the interior. Obviously, new flooring that's appropriate for animals, self-contained cages for felines and small dogs. On the outside, we can also do a concrete slab with some outside kennels, so for larger dogs. The fiscal impact, a total of $100,000 has been allocated for the animal shelter expansion. This is Facility Maintenance Fund 540, 1910, and CP 2609. The funds will be used for transportation and placement of the modular buildings, interior renovations, and facility modifications, the purchase and installation of the kennels, the flooring and sanitation improvements, the security fencing and related infrastructure. The project is expected to be completed with the existing budget. We can always come back next fiscal year for additional upgrades, continuing to improve our facility. So at this time, the staff recommends that the City Council adopts a resolution authorizing the use of allocated funds for the expansion of the Oakdale Animal Facility and authorizing the staff to complete the necessary improvements and building modifications. This project provides an immediate and a cost-effective solution to address overcrowding and reduce disease transmission and improve animal welfare and the support of shelter staff and volunteers while planning for a future facility replacement.
So Lieutenant, this has definitely been a long time coming.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Couple
Can I
questions.
just add some stuff?
Absolutely.
So we have a long-term plan to eventually replace the existing animal shelter that we have out there at that facility. And basically I went to Chief Grogan and Lieutenant Vanderheiden and said, what can we do to get immediate relief right now with the budget of $100,000? And I think that they've knocked it out of the park with this plan. I didn't anticipate that we would get this much room for this much money. I really thought Lieutenant Vanderheiden put a lot of thought into it, and a lot of effort in finding a modular that we could get out there that would serve the facility to the best that we could. And the price was just too expensive for us. And I said, don't give up. And so this is the plan that they came up with, and it's quite phenomenal. Very, very proud of those two for putting this together for us, so thank you.
Yeah, that's great. One question I have is the company from Atwater to deliver. There isn't a local company like Hummer or Rocha that you guys can connect with to see if they can do it for less than the 43,000? I don't know anything about that.
This recommendation came from Hummer himself, so we
Oh, I did. Oh,
called
okay.
our local guy, which would be Doug Hummer,
Yeah,
and what we need to transport, he's unable to do it.
okay.
So we even tried, he tried to give other reference. Nobody in town was able to make the move, so he provided the information for the company out of Atwater.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any questions, comments from council?
I got a question. I want to commend your ingenuity in coming up with an inexpensive option for that. Are we considering this a long-term solution, or would this be an interim solution?
This is a temporary solution until we have a long-term solution. Our long-term solution is to have the architecture done, and then eventually have enough funds from developer fees that we can get a brand new facility out there, and then that would be about the lifespan of these modulars. They'd probably be about used up, and it'd be time for them to go to the garbage. So this is I won't say short term, but it's a temporary solution for a long-term problem that we're going to have.
I think this is great. I was at the shelter last week. I took a dog named Misty out for a doggy day out, and you could tell that the shelter is overcrowded, and those animals do need more space, and this has been brought up to me for 3 years now. So thank you so much for doing this.
Anything else? Any comments from the public? All right, this is an action item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
First and a second, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilmember Kettering,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Patassi,
Yes.
and Mayor Barrios.
Yes, this item passes 5-0. Thank you, Colleen.
There is Love Oakdale this weekend, and we're going to be out at the animal shelter working on it. So if you want to volunteer out there, Saturday.
All right, item 11.3.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Andrew Hunter. I'm Assistant Chief with the Fire Department serving here in Oakdale. What I'm bringing before you tonight is maybe a little controversial.
To say the least, yeah.
And as a longtime resident of Oakdale, it's something that's very near and dear to me. I've been here 20 years, and what we're speaking of is the horn located on Fire Station 28. And so the situation that we have, let me give a little background. So their horn on Fire Station 28 was initially installed somewhere in the early 1900s. I know it probably wasn't before 1911 because that's the date on one of the two air tanks that supply air to the air horn. And so it was initially installed to notify the fire department that there was an emergency, and by use of a coded system, it would identify by a series of horn blasts where the emergency was located within the city. With the advent of modern technology, we've moved away from that system. And we use radios and alerting systems and my cell phone to let us know that there's an emergency. But in addition to providing alerts to the location of fires or other emergencies, it was also used as a timekeeping device for the community. It would sound at 7 a.m., noon, and 6 p.m. I don't know why that was the times that they picked. We can only surmise, but that's gone on since it was installed. For those that have been here a long time, they probably have heard times where the time was off. Probably
By like 10 seconds, we get calls and
Yes.
text messages, believe me, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's happened as well during the, or it's happened for various reasons. Initially, a big thing that happened is the mechanical clock broke, and was unable to be repaired. Longtime Oakdale resident, Mr. Butterfield, who owned a shop here in town, he was actually somebody that would work on the clock until it was no longer viable to continue to operate. So an electronic timer was installed to update that. We've recently also had to update the air compressor and to a newer used air compressor, and so it's a device that takes ongoing maintenance, but it does not serve a fire department or operational need within the city. Here's some examples of the equipment. The original timekeeping device on the left. The air tanks, one is 1911, the other one is 1914. They are checked by Hartford Steam and Boiler, and they are certified to still be safe and operational. And then the air compressor on the far right, it was recently updated to a newer used air compressor. So as I mentioned, the horn does not serve an operational purpose at this point, but it's as best we can, we've tried to keep that in service to maintain a historical and nostalgic feeling here in Oakdale. So what we're doing, or what we're bringing to council, is a few options, because at some point there will be a larger item or something on there that breaks that will cause us to have to find funds to replace it. And so the recommendations that we're bringing to council is we're asking for a recommendation on a decision as far as what to do with the horn. And we've got a few options. The first one is to continue to operate the current horn as it has, sounding at 7 a.m., 12 p.m., and then 6 p.m. Option 2 is to discontinue the operation of the horn. Option 3 is to modify the air horn operation at a reduced schedule, possibly sounding daily at noon. And option 4 is to provide alternative direction as determined by City Council. One thing that we will find is we're going to continue to have mechanical failures with it, whether it be that it goes off at the wrong time, whether it's 10 seconds late or an hour early or late, or as has happened in the past, sometimes the air horn will sound until it runs out of air. But we want to bring this to council and give an opportunity for input on the direction that we go. We are supportive of whatever direction that is that council has for us.
Chief, who works on the clock in the middle of town now that Mr. Butterfield has passed away? I believe the Lions Club runs that. They have somebody.
I don't know who that you've stumped me. I don't know who operates or repairs that one.
So maybe that person can work on this when need be. Maybe we.
Albert's saying that it is correct. The Lions Club maintains the clock at the main intersection.
Yeah. So maybe if fundraising is needed, maybe you can talk to somebody that will be willing to put a plaque up and say, hey, this is sponsored by person 123 XYZ that wants to continue this tradition. For me, I am option 1, 500%.
I am as well.
As a lifelong Oakdalean, 500% option 1.
Leave it the same, option 1.
Here's what I would like. I'd like to see, I want to see the horn. And no matter what we decide, all things Oakdale is going to blow up tonight, opposite for whatever our decision is, that we did the wrong thing. So, but what I would like to say, what would it take financially, and it's, you said in the presentation you don't know this, to make it a brand new operation? What would it take to replace the air compressors, to make it modern with the same results? And I'm not asking for that now. I mean, that's going to take some work. But I think, at least for me, continue it, but I'd like to see what it would cost. If it's a $5,000 cost versus a $100,000 cost, those could be two different discussions. And so I think, can we update it? I mean, it's pretty cool to say we have these tanks from 1911 and 1914, but how long are those going to remain safe? At some point, they're going to become a safety issue. So now that we're talking about the topic, can we get something to say, we want the same operation 3 times a day, we want it to, it's gonna sound weird, make the same noise, but what would it cost to put it in 2026 equipment?
So those have been there since 1911 and 1914. It's metal, it's welded, it is deemed safe by the company. I don't imagine that those go out anytime soon. So that cost is probably negligible. There's no reason to replace something that's working. The compressor was just replaced, 6 months ago?
Yeah,
Might have been a used
less
one,
than
but
6 months.
it's functioning. The issue that they're having is the programming of it going off at the wrong time and then going until those tanks are out of air. So that's why we kind of brought it to you. It sounded like move
Keep it
forward. So we can, based on what you said, I would just make the recommendation that we go with option one. And that we look and see what it takes to get some sort of timing device that is reliable and can be adjusted for daylight savings time, so we're not going off at 6 a.m. so that you don't get calls.
Oh my, yes.
So we'll look into that.
Everybody should be awake by then anyway.
So my recommendation, based on what your opinions have been, is go with option one. Let us bring back, if we need to, if it's over $5,000, we'll bring back what it's going to cost to get something, to get a timer that actually works for the system out there.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions from the council? Any comments from the public? Thanks, Chief.
Motion for option 1.
Second.
First and a second, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilmember Patassi,
Yes.
Councilmember Kettering,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
and Mayor Barrios.
Yes, this item passes 5-0. All right, 11.4. Come on up, Karina.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor and Council. Hi.
Hi, good evening.
Okay, tonight I am here to talk with you about the Sierra and D Force Main. A little bit of background on this project. The city of Oakdale uses a pressurized sewer pipeline known as a force main to convey wastewater to a downstream gravity system when site conditions do not allow for conventional gravity flow in the city. This is typically done to areas of flatland and the need for this wastewater to cross obstacles such as the highway and other utilities to reach our treatment facility. The existing force main at North Sierra Avenue is nearing the end of its useful life and has reduced reliability. This project will include installing a new sewer force main with connections to the existing sewer lift station to create a new force main. The existing pipe will remain in place to create redundancy in case of emergency or failure, which none of us want to see happen. The new, larger iron pipe will also support future growth within the city. This is a map of the project location on North Sierra. You can see the highlighted area is the entire length of the force main project. So this road would be closed for the entirety of this work. It goes kind of right down the center in this area, and this is where the existing force main is as well. This one's a little bit harder to see, but this is just another view of the work area and the limits of the project and where it would be located. For this project, staff requested a base bid utilizing C900 DR14 PVC pipe, which is typical for this type of utility. That was our original plan, or our original bid was for the sewer main, along with a bid alternate for the use of ductile iron pipe in lieu of the C900. Ductile iron pipe provides superior structural strength, is more tolerant of settlement, and performs better under surge conditions such as water hammer and pump cycling. Additionally, it allows for greater flexibility in accommodating future service connections and field modifications if needed. For these reasons, staff determined that the bid alternate for ductile iron pipe was appropriate and in the best interest of this project and the city's sewer collection system. The bids were opened for this project on March 17th, and the bids were as follows. As you can see, United Pavement Maintenance Incorporated was our low bidder, but we did have a really large group of bidders for this work. Pretty competitive pricing across the board here. The low bid was in the amount of $513,626.52. Staff is also recommending the inclusion of a construction contingency in the amount of $51,362 and a construction engineering and inspections contingency in the amount of $53,000 for a total project cost of $617,988.52. This project will be funded by Fund 621 Sewer Capital Replacement. So as a recap, staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with United Pavement Maintenance, Inc. in the amount of $513,626.52 for the Sierra and D Force Main project, and authorize a contingency in the amount of $52,632, and authorize a construction engineering and inspections contingency in the amount of $53,000 for a total project budget of $617,988.52 to be funded by the Sewer Capital Replacement Fund 621. Any questions?
Any questions from council? Comments?
I have a question. What was the difference between ductile iron and C900?
About $64,000.
Why do we like ductile iron so much more than C900? That's like a standard, right?
In normal circumstances, yes. This is a force main. It's quite a large force main, and we just looked at it from a structural standpoint that it would be superior using iron.
Because there's a road on top of it?
Yeah, that and the cycling of the pumps and just the pressure that is pushed through the pipe. Just a combination of everything.
How close are they to the pumps? How close is it to the pumps?
It comes right off of the pump, so there's a lift station, and they just, from that point up to A Street.
To the next pump station?
Or
Or that's its fund
That's it.
send?
And that distance that was shown on that map is the push uphill
Oh, yeah.
to A Street. So there is a certain amount of head pressure and
Yeah.
also included in this.
We are quite literally would be in deep doo-doo if we don't get this done.
Yes.
All right, any comments from the public? Come on up,
Let
Bianca.
me ask Karina one quick
Oh, sorry.
question. If
Sure.
my fault, I'm sorry. How long on this project if the road is closed, how long is usually a road closed on a project like this?
For this project, it would be closed for the entirety of the project, which is 90 days.
No, okay, thank you.
Is there an issue with the fuel station and all that other kind of access rail builder back there?
Yeah, we'll still be working with them on access. There will be plenty of times where we could have some of the road open. It'd just be easier to
Yeah.
generally keep it closed and just allow access for those who need it in and out in that area.
For sure.
Thank you.
So is this including resurfacing the road when we're finished too?
Not in,
It is not, not resurfacing, but we will slurry.
All right, comments from the public?
This is Bianca Signorelli. So my only question is, well, just let me make clear that I never got to see the last city council meeting. It wasn't available to view, so I never got to see the PowerPoint or no. But what I'm wondering is this funded by the sewer capital, part of the stuff that, where you're looking for to raise our sewer rates? Because this should come out of the fund, and it's already collected there, right? That's the whole purpose of the whole, us paying for water and sewer, that there's already a fund there to do replacement and repair. Right? This isn't what we're gonna be, it's not implicating one to the other.
This is public comment, Bianca.
Well,
You're more than welcome to contact me or Jeff Gravel if you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Okay, public comments now closed. This is an action item.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
First and a second, roll call, please.
Councilmember Kettering?
Yes.
Councilmember Patassi?
Yeah, or
Coun-
yes, sorry. Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilbert?
Yes.
And Mayor Barris?
Yes, this item passes 5-0. Thank you, Colleen.
Sorry.
All right, item 11.5. Karina, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me again.
And this was on the agenda a couple weeks ago, right?
Different well site.
Different well site. Oh, okay.
New well, yes.
Oh, another new one.
Second well, yes.
That's great.
So tonight, I'm going to give you some information regarding well 12. Same project in that we would be starting with a test hole and then moving on if we were successful to an operational well. So similar to well 11, different location and a little bit of a different need for this one. So the background for well 12 is starts with well 3. Well 3 was originally drilled in the mid-1940s and has remained online until 2022, 2023. Prior to being taken out of service, water quality testing detected contaminants. Staff evaluated potential rehabilitation options. However, several significant constraints were identified. Well 3 is an open bottom well with a variable column configuration that is not compatible with conventional lining methods, and the well column itself was determined to be failing. Due to these structural limitations and the inability to effectively address the identified contaminants, the well cannot be feasibly restored to meet current operational and water quality standards. As a result, replacement of well 3 is necessary to maintain the city's groundwater production capacity and ensure the continued reliability of the water supply system. The new well would be located on North 8th Avenue in the southwest corner of Gilbert Park. You can see on the drawing here where the Oakdale Event Center is located, and that far corner in the front of Gilbert Park away from the playground on the North 8th Avenue side of the park. And then just an up-close look of some of the site plan for the well and what would be needed in this area for a fully operational well. This project, like well 11, would be completed in 2 phases. The first phase includes mobilizing the contractor to complete the test hole drilling to a target depth of 800 feet. Once all appropriate testing is complete, and should the water quality data from the zone test indicate a successful test hole, the contractor will begin construction of the operational well. A community meeting to discuss this well was held in November of 2024, and residents will receive notification prior to the beginning of construction, well in advance of the beginning of construction of this project. Included in this project is a 24-foot sound wall that would surround the entire drilling site for the duration of the project. Project bids for this project were opened on January 22nd. There were 2 bids for this project, but like well 11, one bid was incomplete and could not be accepted. The lowest responsive bid was provided by Zim Industries in the amount of $994,990. The bid breakdown is as follows. So for the test hole drilling, $377,600. Removal of the test hole is $15,000, and then if we were successful and the operational well was able to be constructed, that portion is $602,390 for a total construction cost of $994,990, or a total bid number. So like I explained, the first phase of the project is to drill the test hole, and then we would move through the process just like well 11. If we were successful, we'll have our operational well at the end of this project. Zim Industries was our low bidder at $994,990, and this is a budgeted item. I know there's been some questions. There's always a question about local vendors and whether or not we reach out to them, and we really do make a lot of effort to reach all of our local vendors. This is a really complicated project, and so sometimes some of our more local vendors are not interested in getting in this deep. But what we are finding lately with a lot of our local vendors is that they're not interested in bidding certified payroll work, work that requires paying prevailing wage. Our insurance rates, you know, are for everybody, but especially for businesses and for contractors, are very high. Our limits are pretty high to protect ourselves, and so some of them are not interested in that. And they also have to be registered with the DIR, and that has, we have some people not interested in that as well. So we're making a lot of effort to reach out to our local vendors, but sometimes it's just not for them, unfortunately. We are, you know, posting more on our website and trying to encourage them to at least look at our projects a little bit more, and trying to reach out to them personally as well. So I know that question has come up, so I just wanted to let you know we are working to try to get our most local vendors as possible on our jobs, but sometimes it's just not for them.
So I think you knew that was going to be my first question.
I did.
I'm pretty sure you knew that.
So at this time, staff recommends that the city council adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Zim Industries for Well 12 test hole and operational well project for $994,990, and authorizing $99,499 for contingency and $79,599 for construction, engineering, and inspections, for a total project cost of $1,174,088 to be funded by the Water Capital Replacement Fund 644. This is project 2406.
So I don't believe I ever heard of Zen. Is that somebody that other agencies know of? Or is it, they're the only ones that submit the bid? Like you said, there was another one that was unfinished.
Yes, they were the only ones who were successful in this bidding round. We did do a really, really thorough vetting of their references and work that they've done for other cities and some school district work, but typically cities are, this kind of well is done by municipalities, and they're not private or on schools. But we did talk to all of their references. We did a thorough review of all of their past work to make sure that their experience matches what we're looking for, even though we haven't worked with them before, and we feel confident that they are very qualified to perform this work.
Okay, and how long is this, would this project last?
This project will last 173 days.
So the letters, the disturbance letters that you said you're gonna send to the neighbors, will that 25-foot sound wall offset that, or?
That's our hope. We're gonna get the wall up immediately so that we could start testing, sound and hours of operation. Worst case scenario, the sound will hopefully offset and will work only during regular noise ordinance times. What we found with the well drilling is that they like to drill 24 hours a day. So that's the purpose of the sound wall in this neighborhood. And the hope is that we would be able to do that, but they are aware that there's a possibility, being this close to homes, that we will not be able to run 24 hours a day. So if so, we would try to go 6 to 6 and get 12 hours in.
The noise ordinance, I believe, ends at 10 p.m., so that would not be a factor in this. Is that correct, the noise ordinance, like for loud music and stuff?
Right.
Is it 9 or 10? I think it's 10.
It's 10.
I think it's 10.
Okay, but this would not go to 10 p.m.
No, the sound wall, in theory, the sound wall will keep the sound contained within the work area, and we would never affect that. If we feel like we're going to affect it, then we would have to adjust our working hours and work half days for them, which would be half days, 12-hour days, and extend the length of our project, yeah.
This is the morning sound ordinance, isn't it 7 in the morning?
Yeah, 7 to 10.
Yes.
Yep.
If we had to change the hours, and so which would make it a longer project, would that increase the cost?
There's a possibility, if they have a schedule conflict, yes, that they could come back with a change order for keeping their crew out there longer. They're aware that it's a possibility, but it's not built into the bid.
This is a different company that we just approved last meeting for
Yes.
the other well, correct?
Yes.
And Madam Mayor, if I can mention, we went through 2 rounds of bidding. So you may recall, I believe it was prior to Christmas that we came.
October.
In October, we brought an item to council rejecting the bids for these projects. It's been a real tough go to get the right people in place to bid on this.
We rejected because of the references and the experience level of the bidders. None of them had ever performed this level of well drilling. Some of them had never even done 800 feet. Some of them were only doing private wells or residential. And so we just didn't feel like we got what we needed from the references or from their qualifications to move forward, which is why we rejected those, and we're here now.
All right, thank you for being so thorough. Any other questions, comments from the city council?
Yep.
Yep.
I don't know if this is a question for you or for Jeff or Jerry, but $1 million, 1.1 million for a test hole. Is this well, since it hasn't been active for 3+ years or so, are we doing this test hole to plan for future development and we need more water, or are we a shortage of water Is this something that has to happen right now with how expensive a test hole is? I know it's not gonna get any cheaper. Like, are we, cause it's a test hole, they're not putting any casing in, it's not gonna be, you know,
So I'll answer the first part of that question. The test hole is $377,000. If it ends up the water quality is not good enough, we're gonna spend another $15,000 to plug that hole back up, and that's the final expenditure, so it'd be about $400,000.
Yeah.
If we deem the water quality is good enough, then we construct the well at a total price of $994,000.
okay, so do we,
So the test hole is not $1 million. The test to find water is 400,
Got
or
it.
is 377. If that's
sorry.
good enough, then we move forward with the project.
sorry, I misspoke then. So are we needing another well because we're short on water, or are we this is a plan ahead thing for future development?
So the well that you acted upon in the last meeting was planning ahead. This well is replacement of existing well. So it's replacement.
Okay, got it, different. Thank you.
Any comments from the public? Come on up. Good evening.
The same issue is this, except for it's the water. Yes, I can make a meeting, but let me just say, when I make a meeting, it's only me that's getting the information. What happened to openness and transparency from our city council to answer questions from its constituents so that everybody can know and it's on record?
Thank you. All right, anything else from the city council? If not, this is an action item.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
First and a second, roll call, please.
Councilmember Kettering.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilbert.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch. Councilmember Patassi.
Yes.
And Mayor Barris.
Yes, this item passes 5-0. Thank you, Colleen. All right, item 11.6.
All right, good evening, Mayor,
Good
council
evening.
members.
Good evening.
The item before you, 11.6, is consider a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the City of Oakdale and the following bargaining units: Oakdale Miscellaneous, Management Confidential, and the Oakdale Police Officers Association, and authorize the city manager to execute the memorandums of understanding. Additionally, to consider a resolution approving the revised salary ranges and benefits for City of Oakdale senior management employees for fiscal year 26-27. Little background. Employees are our most important resource. The City of Oakdale provides essential services: police, fire, water, sewer, streets, parks, recreation, senior services, and I'm sure a multitude of others that I didn't include in here. High-quality employees with the right skills are critical to delivering excellent service to residents. We absolutely compete with neighboring jurisdictions for talent from the same labor pool. Competitive total compensation helps attract and retain experienced staff. An importance of retention. Retaining trained employees preserves institutional knowledge and high service levels. Turnover is extremely costly. Recruitment, onboarding, specialized training, certifications, mentoring, and backfilling and overtime is a burden on the city. A modest targeted investment in compensation is far more cost-effective long-term than repeating hiring cycles over and over with new employees. The goal is to maintain a stable, high-performing workforce that is adequately compensated. Leadership believes the negotiated MOUs get us there. The negotiation process, everybody negotiated in good faith with all three of the units. The uniform total compensation pool was communicated up front with each of the bargaining units. Each group negotiated with flexibility to allocate resources to address internal equity and market needs, and what I mean by that I'll get to in the future. And a collaborative approach ensured fairness while keeping overall costs consistent across the groups. Market competitiveness. Recent comprehensive market analysis showed many classifications lagged behind neighboring competing jurisdictions, putting us at risk of losing our most valuable resource, our employees. The priority was to address the competitive disadvantages to improve retention and recruitment, with retention being the more important of the two. Collaborative adjustments were made to bring lagging classifications closer to market while maintaining internal equity, and targeted changes for a small number of classifications to direct resources effectively. And specifically, those were animal control and code enforcement. So specific MOU highlights: all bargaining groups received a 6.5% wage increase for that group. However, not all employees received a 6.5% increase. Staff and management knew there were some compensation disparities compared to competing organizations. Staff and management worked collaboratively to address these issues. The classifications that were significantly behind market comparisons were increased. The wastewater treatment plant mechanic was increased to a competitive wage, and then the classifications that were significantly ahead of market comparisons did not receive an increase, and that money was allocated to other employees that were significantly behind. So animal control officers and code enforcement officers were the highest paid in the region, and the region included Tracy. They're making more money than somebody that works in Tracy that's receiving a Bay Area wage. This was done to increase the classification behind markets averages to competitive wage levels. In other words, since we had some that were significantly higher than competitive markets, we took that money that would be allocated, the 6.5%, and we allocated that to sworn officers so that they could be in so that they could receive a competitive wage close to what other agencies are making. So they ended up with a minimum of 7.75% increase, with some of them receiving a 9% increase, and then dispatchers are compensated at a 3.5% increase to a 4% increase. And there's specific reasons why this happened. It was because we wanted a more streamlined salary schedule that was easier to understand than what we had before. The one we had before, it was kind of just like random numbers being used, where we wanted to have it was 2.5% between groups, and then 5% step increases, where some of them were 4.5%, and then some of them were 11% step in between steps. So that's why there's a range from 7.75% to 9%, or 3.5% to 4%. Key provisions consistent across all agreements. Each bargaining group received a total compensation of 6.5%. We elected to go to a one-year term, which starts July 1st through July 30th of 2027. Updated health insurance contribution is $1,200 a month plus 50% of excess, which the 50% of excess after $1,200, there's no additional, nothing changed there. We have a vacation sellback option. It went from 36 hours to 40 hours, and increased 14 paid holidays from 12, which is consistent with competitive municipalities. In fact, some of them are 15 and 16, so we went from 12 to 14. And then other continued benefits, sick leave, bereavement, et cetera. We had to kind of adjust some legal issues with California to meet California law. And then we cleaned up some of the language in the MOUs so that it was more consistent across the board. So specific MOU highlights: all groups received the $1,200 towards medical and 14 paid holidays. Management and confidential placed on a new salary schedule, 2.5% range steps, 5% increase that I just explained, and then the resulting, after they were placed in the new salary schedule, the remainder resulted in a COLA, and then 2% deferred compensation match after 1 year. The miscellaneous group, longevity pay, these are the rank and file, these are the hard workers that are out there doing the work. These are the ones that we're very, very interested in retaining, so we felt it was important that a longevity pay for these folks at 2.5% after 10 years, 5% after 15, and 7.5% after 20. And this is one of the groups that doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of incentives built into their job classification. And then the Police Officers Association went from $1,000 to $1,200 for the uniform. You have to keep in mind that uniform costs, along with every other cost, is getting quite expensive, so we felt that it was appropriate. And then one that I didn't put in here is anybody that joins the Police Officers Association would be entitled to the 1% deferred compensation from day one. And then senior management would be consistent net adjustment aligned with other groups, same benefit enhancements, and ensures equity and competitiveness at the leadership level. So the fiscal impact is estimated at $586,351. Breakdown, general fund impact would be $356,383. Now, keep in mind, we run a 40% reserve, and a reserve level for the city is $8.2 million. So this is a relatively insignificant amount for what our general fund reserve is. And then the impact to the LMDs is $20,223. Vehicle maintenance, $9,000. Wastewater, $123,000. Water, $75,000. And the airport is about $1,200. We prepared for this through prior budgeting, strong revenues, and anticipated revenue growth, and some other plans. And then the long-term savings expected from reduced turnover and training costs. I don't think that can be emphasized enough. I mean, if you take a police officer, it's going to take 6 months to train them before you're even getting any return on investment. So that's $50,000 right there, just one police officer if you have one leave. So I think the 7 3/4 is a competitive wage. It brings them closer to other agencies, and in my opinion, they absolutely deserve it. Recommendation, we recommend approve the following resolutions: the Management Confidential Bargaining Unit MOU, Oakdale Miscellaneous Employee Bargaining Unit MOU, Oakdale Police Officers Association MOU, the revised salary ranges and benefits for senior management, and authorize the city manager to execute the MOUs. And I can't say it enough, thank you to our valued employees. Thank you for your support and dedicated employees and the continued delivery of high-quality services to Oakdale residents. Our employees are the key to delivering excellent services. And with that, I will entertain questions.
Jerry, I don't think there's a city in the world that could afford to pay what these men and women truly deserve. So I just want to say thank you for working with these units. I like to see that they're more closer to our neighboring communities. And just want to thank them for all that they do. They are boots on the ground. They protect us no matter who we are, where we live, 24/7, starting with the dispatchers that are always the first ones on the call. So I just want to say thank you for working tirelessly to make this happen. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. We had some bumps along the way. It was new to me, and it was new to the union president and vice president. But when it's all said and done, and you take emotion out of it, and you talk business, it's possible to get somewhere that we can absolutely take care of our employees.
I think the key to this is also retention. Keep the people that we have here rather than having them go somewhere else. So thank you. Any questions, comments from the council?
Just a comment, the size of Oakdale makes us a step in a lot of folks' career. You know, they start somewhere smaller, then they get to us, they get good at what they're doing, and then they can move up to bigger cities. And wow, that's painful for us to see. You go in the building department or the community development, and we've lost some really good talent over the last few years, and that had to be very expensive to replace, to recruit, to train. We need to keep the best here.
Agreed.
So this is for a year, right? So what, moving forward next year, when you guys start negotiating again, is there a plan for longer than a year after that? I know you said you were waiting for a few things, but after this, what's the after a year look like?
We don't know yet. That's why we get into negotiations. So that's actually a very good question, and there's several things that could happen in the future. I don't know where we go next year. I hope to be able to come back with something similar based on where we are as a city. I just don't know. We have to wait and see where we are financially, and that's why I elected to do a year. I want to see where we're at in a year. How many new businesses are open? What are property values? What are property taxes bringing in? What are sales taxes bringing in? And what's the future look like financially for Oakdale? That's why I thought it was best to do it for a year and not tie anybody into a long-term thing where if we're great financially, then I want to be able to reward the employees that have stuck around, get them competitive wages that they deserve, keep them on board. However, if in a year the finances look like the city's struggling, then I also want to have the option to say, hey, sorry folks, I took really good care of you last year. Work with me, and maybe in another year we can get to another really good contract. So there's really no good answer for that. All I can say is that I'm optimistic about the future and the financial future of the city of Oakdale.
But we can never go back, right? Like if you say, you know, for the year, this is what you're gonna get, and then potentially let's just say 3-year deal after this, there's no going back. They gotta this is where it's gonna go from here forward, right? And just continue to grow or maintain what's financially responsible for the city.
We're always gonna maintain I'm always gonna make recommendations that are what's financially best for the city, but you can never say there's no going back. I went through the recession in 2008 as a police officer, and I gave a lot back. Like a substantial amount of money that I was making was taken away from me, and I understood that. That's part of going through a recession and making sure that the city can make it out of it, and making sure that your employees can make it out of it. Everybody has to give a little bit, so I can't guarantee that they wouldn't have to give something back. However, that being said, that's not going to happen if we're not in a recession like 2008. So I can never say never.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you is I'm optimistic about the financial future of Oakdale, and I would like to come back to the table next year and do more to retain these employees.
And you said the people that were in negotiations and everybody in the union were pretty happy with everything?
I hope so. That's a substantial increase. It's going to make their lives a little easier.
This is my first time doing this type of negotiation stuff, so I'm just curious how that.
Well, we reached an agreement.
Yeah.
So I would venture to say that yes, everybody is happy.
Okay.
I shouldn't say everybody because there's no absolutes. I'm sure that there are some out there that are not pleased that they're not receiving an increase. I imagine that the animal control officers aren't happy about it, and I'm not either. It would be nice to be able to afford 10% across the board, right? But unfortunately, we have some officers that are significantly behind. We can't take the money that should go to them to get them up to a competitive wage, and also provide money to people that are the highest paid in the region. Let's take Modesto, for instance. They think they have 4 animal control officers, and they're serving a community of 250,000. Our animal control officers are serving a community of about 70,000, and there's 3 of them.
Is there a plan for that, for the other entities that use our animal facility to start paying in more, or?
No.
No?
We want to get the new construction done. I say new, it's actually old, but it's an ingenious way to get it done. We want to get that done and see where we're at, and then come up with a long-term plan to get that new shelter.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Jerry?
Just real quick, I'll make this quick, as I know this is one of the toughest parts. During my career, I sat on both sides. I was a union rep negotiating, and I was also a chief, where I was on the other side. None of these negotiations are easy, and I want to thank Jerry for answering all my questions throughout this, several of the officers for answering some of my questions, giving me input to this whole thing. I worked for a county, and I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate enough to work for one of the poorest counties in the Central Valley for my entire career. And you brought back trauma when you just said the pay cuts. I gave up 15% of my salary in 2009 because of the recession. And it took me, I think, 9 years to get it back. So I understand that. I understand government. I understand especially wages and negotiations. And I was glad to hear that there was an agreement this quick. Not everybody's going to be happy in negotiations. I understand that. Every decision we make up here, there's going to be groups that are unhappy. My biggest thing that I asked Jerry was, how are we comparing to similar agencies? We can't compare ourselves all the time to Modesto, Tracy. Look at similar agencies, and that's what I wanted to fight for, is that our salaries across the board are comparable to similar agencies. I think we're getting there. I don't think we're there right now with all the positions, but I think we're getting there. And having a kid who is currently in the application process for law enforcement agencies, I completely understand what you guys are going through. And so trying to get those benefits, I get it. There were some things in this MOU that surprised me. I never saw in my career the amount of vacation back that you guys get. That's a huge benefit. I know everybody looks at health insurance once you get past about 35. Anybody under 35 is not really caring about that. But I think overall from what I saw in a general thing, that everything was done in good faith, everything was done city and for the staff.
And just in case I didn't emphasize it enough, I'd like to thank everybody that was involved in the negotiations for their professionalism and their ability to communicate.
All right, any comments from the public? All right, this is an action item.
Motion to approve.
First and a second, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch. Yes. Councilmember Patassi,
Yes.
Councilmember Kettering.
Yes.
And Mayor Barros.
Yes, this item passes 5-0. Thank you. And thank you, Jerry. Thank you for explaining everything.
Rooting
too.
for next year for more too.
All right, so item 11.7, I will recuse myself to the back.
You guys can stay for the rest of the meeting if you'd like.
Oh, she's stepping out, huh? Yeah. Okay. Good evening, council. I'm here to present item 11.7, the Birchall Hill LMD Landscaping Services. A little bit of background. The landscaping services within Birchall Hill subdivision have been the responsibility of the city since its initial development in the early 2000s. Services have historically been contracted out to control costs and optimize staff resources. The city's agreement with Swift Landscape expired at the end of February 2026. The level of maintenance is highly intense and would require approximately about 2 to 3 personnel per day if performed by the city personnel. Contracting these services enables the city to allocate personnel more effectively towards other priorities needs across the organization. To maintain current services, the city did an informal bid for the landscaping maintenance within Birchall Hill LMD. They included theirs below. They will maintain 2 parks, 2 trails, maintain all the park strips within the Birchall Hill LMD for approximately 52 weeks of the year. This is the Birchall Hill area. It shows the 2 parks that do the Birchall Hill in the basin, the trails right there, and also all the park strips within the community. Okay, the discussion. The scope of the work included comprehensive weekly landscape maintenance, such as mowing, pruning, edging, maintaining overall site conditions. Irrigation systems, they would check out the irrigation. They would do trash collections services at least twice a week. Mondays will always be a day they would be picking up garbage. Tree trimming will include trimming, maintaining safe clearance approximately between 8 to 12 feet. The agreement is structured for a 3-year contract that would extend through June 30th of 2029, if it's approved tonight. As we did our informal bid, we put it out on late January and it closed in mid-February. As the lowest bidder, we had a Brightview Landscaping Company selected as the lowest bidder. They came in at $98,142.20 per year. We had RP Landscaping, that was a local vendor, Elite Maintenance, and also Grover and Westside Landscaping. As you saw, there's a big difference. They came in about close to 40%, over 40%, closer to anybody else. And Brightview's they're a nationwide company. They're actually their local branch will be coming out of Manteca, so they're pretty close. Fiscal impact, funding and costs. The services are funded through the Birchall Hill LMD Fund 285. The annual contract cost would be the $98,142.20 for 3 years. Funding is supported by the annual assessments within the district. No impacts to the general fund would impact the general fund. Recommendation. Staff recommends that the city council adopts a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Brightview Landscape in the amount of $98,142.20 per year for 3 years of the landscape maintenance services in the Birchall Hill LMD Fund by Fund 285. You have any questions?
You know, in this industry, they say that usually the bid goes to the guy that made the biggest mistake. And I feel like this guy's made a terrible mistake. You can't have this wide of margins and have this be a winner. I think, are we required to take the low bidder?
It's difficult not to take the low bidder, but legally, yes. If I could add to that, Councilmember Murdoch, I used to, in a previous career, work for not Brightview, but Brightview about 10 years ago merged with another large company back east, and they became the largest landscape maintenance and construction company in the country. And I used to work for Valley Crest Landscaping, which was one of the two companies that came together. And I used to do estimating, as well as I oversaw a pretty large group of individuals that did maintenance and construction. And to say, it was a little surprising to see the price that came in, and we both, Manuel and I talked about making sure that they were confident with their bid, and they were very confident with their bid. I trust them because they know what they're talking about. They know their business, and they're probably, I don't know how they're going to go about, their performing their maintenance duties, and how they're going to time it and what kind of personnel they're going to place on it, and whatever else they have going on in the area, which may be a plus, depending on what else they're doing in the area. But I would say that I trust their abilities.
And there was multiple emails. I contacted the project manager confirming that they were capable of doing these with the scopes of work that we're requiring. So we do have documentation of them.
Somewhere somebody they can't all be bidding the exact same thing. I mean, you look at how many hours a week, you estimate how many hours a week. And actually, with as old as that LMD is, there shouldn't be any estimating. People have done this. The city's done it themselves. We know how many hours it takes to keep this up. And if you do the math, this many hours times, all these companies are paying about the same amount. And then you put your profit on it, and there just is no way that they could all be bidding the same quality, the same scope of work. We've got to probably say yes because they're low, but see you next year. I would take the next one up.
Unfortunately, this lighting and landscaping district is struggling, and so that it doesn't have the funds to go to the next bidder. Because right now, the current contract that was there was $97,000, and it's budgeting with a $15,000 deficit.
Well, that's a whole different chapter of this, but how can one company do the exact same work for 1/3 the cost that somebody else does? We've got to do it, I guess, but this doesn't make sense to me.
Is this the only neighborhood getting this service?
Yes.
Why this area? Like, it's just
Because the city was in contract with Swift Landscaping, and it ended back in February of 2026. So we needed to go back and get bids.
They perform the maintenance in the Birchill Hill community.
Does this community have more needs that I mean, is it to have a contract? Because I was under the impression that the city's doing most of the landscaping and mowing and all that kind of stuff.
There are certain landscaping and lighting districts that we contract out, this being one of them. I have to say that our fear was that if the bids did come in really higher than what we're looking at here, like I said, it was somewhat of a surprise, but if they did come in higher, that we would be coming back to the council, explaining the situation, and then having to go to the community and say, there are some choices, but in the meantime, the city staff may have to pick up the maintenance, very similar to what happened in Bridle Ridge, where we did go out to bid, and the bids came in Bridle Ridge at $100,000 more than what was currently budgeted, and there was no way that we could cover the cost of those bids, so we ended up picking up the maintenance ourselves, and little by little, we were able to get that back in track with what was budgeted for the community. So here's a situation where we had a contractor that bid the project, and it was very similar to what was currently being paid to the previous contractor. So the thought was to move forward, get them under contract, and then hold their feet to the fire.
So are the fees for this neighborhood gonna need to go up at some point for this, or?
That would require a vote of the community, because they.
Community or us, because we
No,
voted on.
because it is being assessed at the maximum amount that, and so it does go up by 3% a year. But if we were to look at raising the assessments, the residents would have to positively vote to increase that assessment.
So this is.
But let me just say, you asked if it's gonna go up, and you would have to vote. And after a study like we did similar to last year, yes, you would have to vote for that assessment to increase by the 3%. So yes, that would come back to council.
Questions for the public? This
So
is an,
would it be, is it for the mow strips and the park, and that's basically what we're looking at for what they're gonna be doing?
Yeah, looking at this map here.
So you're looking at the map, it would be the Birchall Hill Park, the basin. The trails is the burgundy one around it, and also, and all the park strips within the street.
Gotcha. So
Yes.
this might be a long shot question, but I know a lot of people complain about the mow strips and how much we've had conversations. Is that a long-term goal of like, hey, maybe it's time to take out some mow strips and put drought-resistant plants and not be running so much water and having so much care needed and just keep it to the large areas? Is that a discussion that's worth having at this point, or save it for another day type of thing?
Well, it'll probably be for another day, but it is a discussion that we've been having internally, and we are trying some areas, in fact, in Bridle Ridge as an alternative, something else that we can do.
I've seen a couple of them. They look good.
Yeah, we've also toyed around with the idea, and I'm not sure how we can pull this off, is to return those parkway strips back to the residents and, that they're adjacent to, but it's a real tall order, and there are a lot of complications that come with that.
If they return that back to the residents, would the residents be liable for the tree roots that bust up the concrete and all that kind of stuff? That'd be a
Not any
cost.
more or less than what they are now.
Yeah.
I mean, we will be returning, matter of fact, bringing that up, we will be returning to the council regarding a sidewalk ordinance that will address those types of things that come up in the future.
A sidewalk ordinance for the homeowners that live next to them, or?
Sidewalk ordinance for, in the case where the sidewalk is damaged in some way, perhaps by a tree. How does that get repaired?
Gotcha.
this is
So Rich, you're worried about how much it costs for,
Every day like I do, and when you see this cluster, you've got two that are almost the same, and you've got one that's like drastically less, not just a little bit less, and then you've got two that didn't want this one.
is Brightview closer to Oakdale? Is that partially why they'd be so?
Brightview's, they're nationwide, one of their headquarters is Sacramento, but the closest one to this area, which I asked, was Manteca.
So Grover's in Modesto, and they're closer.
They may have other jobs in the area.
Yeah.
Nearby. I don't know for sure.
A lot of different factors it could be, yeah. That is very low. for 3 years, that 3-year contract, if they're just not operating, like what Rich is saying, hey, can they even perform? Like, is there an out for the city, or?
Yeah, I
We
believe
can
there,
terminate them if they're not keeping up with our stand.
yeah, I think
our
there's a
demands.
30-day termination clause.
Yes.
What do you think, Rich?
The only comfort in this is that they're a big enough company. I didn't know that until you, thanks for sharing that with us. They're a big enough company that apparently we can stand behind any deficiencies, but, in my world, I just wouldn't do this, but I think it is, municipal world, we have to.
This is an action item.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Kettering,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Patassi,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Gilbert.
Yes.
You gotta mow your own part.
Okay, item 11.8. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm here to, for you guys to consider a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with OpenGov Incorporated for public works asset management and community development software and implementation, including a one-time startup cost of $82,918.50 and an annual subscription of $67,677.38. That will be subject to a 5% annual increase thereafter. Some background for community development. Since approximately 1999, the city has used a permitting system that has been developed and maintained by a sole proprietor. It is just a Microsoft Access program. This system has become outdated and is no longer adequately supports the community development workflows. In 2023, software from Tyler Technologies was approved, but after 3 years of integration, they informed us that the program could not meet the needs for the city of Oakville. Background for asset management: the city currently uses WebSoft Mobile MMS, which was recently acquired by Springbrook. The acquisition prompted a proposed multi-year contract with a 7.25% annual increase and additional costs to fix and update issues that the city has been having with the program. Staff reviewed multiple platforms for community development and asset management software, including GovWell, MyGov, GovPilot, Tyler Technologies. Both they have multiple permitting systems and then asset management. Staff determined that OpenGov was the best fit for Public Services Department and would be best to consolidate the different programs into a single platform. What does OpenGov do? Community development, permitting, mobile inspections, online services, planning and zoning workflows, contractor registration and reporting, GIS integration, and public portal access. Asset management, it does maintenance, scheduling, inspections, work history, GIS, connected records, field data collection, reporting, and it will be utilized across water, sewer, wastewater treatment plant, streets, stormwater, and fleet. The implementation timeline is 6 to 8 months. This includes configuration, workflow development, forms, asset and permit setup, data migration, user permissions, reporting, training, and testing of the system. We reached out to multiple other municipalities that use this program already, and the feedback was all very positive regarding the usability, performance, and support. And they confirmed strong training and responsive support during and after the implementation. The fiscal impact is a one-time cost of $82,918.50. The annual subscription cost is $67,677.38, which is subject to the 5% increase annually. This is to be funded by Development Services Fund 120 at 26%, Engineering Fund 119 at 17%, Sewer Operations Fund 622 for 29%, Fleet Maintenance Fund 570 for 12%, and Water Operations Fund 645 for 16%. So staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for Public Works Asset Management and Community Development Software and implementation, including a one-time startup cost of $82,918.50 and an annual subscription of $67,677.38, which is subject to the 5% annual increase thereafter. And I do have Artie with OpenGov here, so any questions for you guys or any questions for the actual program, he can help as well.
Any questions from council? Comments? Comments from the public? All right. Did you want to go ahead and come up to the mic and just say a few words?
I mean, I'll introduce myself. Good evening, council members and mayor. My name's Artie. I'm the OpenGov representative, but yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Artie. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course.
Just one quick comment. Is this going to make permitting and that kind of stuff more convenient and easier for members of our community through this new software program?
It'll be all, it's an online program, so they'll be able to make accounts and they can apply from home.
And this is becoming pretty much standard in the industry, is it not?
Correct.
And one question you kind of brought up, what, if either one of you can answer this, what other local government organizations are currently using OpenGov?
Well, I know for sure for asset management, Clovis does, and then there's a couple other, I reached out to 8 of them.
Yeah, so in California, there's over 50 permitting licensing customers and over 75 asset management customers. Rippon's actually a very new permitting licensing customer that's maybe a few months live. But for example, City and County of San Francisco is a permitting licensing customer. Los Angeles actually uses their asset management. Yeah.
Thank you.
How do you guys gauge the efficiency once you switch over? How are you gonna tell? Is it gonna be less office time for public works people or paperwork? Like what's?
Yeah, so specifically, I don't know if there's a way to gauge it, but specifically for like just planning and zoning, we currently just use Excel spreadsheets and email. This is gonna streamline the workflows, so when something comes in for planning, it will automatically, once it's presented to the staff member, they can send it out through the program to the people who need to review. So it's gonna streamline that, building permits as well. They'll be able to apply online. It automatically go to the plan reviewer. All the comments and everything can be done all online, and will provide the comment letters to the applicant immediately. So it's just a faster, streamlined system. So I don't know of a specific way to gauge it, but it will increase the productivity.
Awesome, thanks.
So will there be a hyperlink on our new website?
Yes.
With this?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, any other questions, comments?
I do. So when we apply for a building permit, what's the difference between me taking my plans in and meeting with Carol, what OpenGov would, how would the process change?
Yeah, so it'll be mostly online permitting. We are planning on having a kiosk up at the front desk. So then you'd have your own account and you could apply through the kiosks at the front of the building, or we could help you either way. If someone isn't, if you would rather that way, Carol can still input it.
So the builder's gonna submit like the CAD files or the PDF version for
Everything
you guys
all
to plan
online.
review and do all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, all online.
Is that what you're getting at, Rich?
It's starting to feel like when I go to the airport and I have to go to the kiosk instead of going to the counter. I don't really like that.
Yeah,
We just want to be reassured that we could still use Carol.
Our staff will still be available to help, yes.
We all need a little
We're
help.
not going away. We just gave them a 6.5% increase. They're staying.
There's a first class line.
All right, any comments from the public?
It's a nobody, it's a somebody line.
All right, with no comments from the public, this is an action item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
First and a second, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilmember Kettering?
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch? Councilmember Patassi?
Yes.
And Mayor Barrios?
Yes, this item passes 5-0. Thank you, and thank you for being here this evening. All right, 11.9, this is the
All right.
time to talk about our community pool.
Yes,
Good
good
old Royce
evening.
Memorial
So I
Community
want to
Pool.
preface. I'll tell you what we're considering, and then I want to tell you how this all came about. So, the item before you, 11.9, is to consider a resolution authorizing the purchase of a Lochinvar Copper Fin 2. I hope I pronounced that right, but I doubt it. Pool heater at $14,915.54 plus shipping from Lincoln Aquatics for the Oakdale Community Pool. The plunge to be funded by Facility Maintenance Fund 540. Before we get into it, and I have Tim Williams here for questions if I can't answer them, but he's been working diligently to get the heater working. It's not going to work, and he came to me late last week, which was Wednesday. It was Tuesday or Wednesday, knowing that we had to publish this by Thursday. I said, get the staff report written so we can get it in front of the council for approval of the heater. Ordinarily, that wouldn't be our process. We would take a little bit longer, and we would have the shipping costs. But because we're in spring, we're in late April, and we want to have the pool open soon and have it heated to where it's going to be a comfortable pool, I felt that it was important to get this in front of you without knowing what the shipping is. Ordinarily, I would have that number for you, so I want to apologize for that, but I thought it was important we get this in front of you for approval, so that in late May, the pool could start being heated. Essentially, what's going to happen is we're going to have to train staff probably at another pool for the lifeguard training and that sort of stuff, because this pool's not going to be heated. I anticipate it's going to be about an 8-week process to get this. That's why I'm bringing it to you prematurely without shipping costs. So the Oakdale Community Pool is a community asset. The existing pool heater is over 20 years old. I think it's actually older based on the pictures. And recent repair attempts have proven both unsuccessful and costly. And this is what it looks like now. Staff has identified a suitable pool heater. It's the Lochinvar Copper Fin 2 with 500,000 BTU. The cost is $14,915 with an estimated $2,000 shipping cost from Lincoln Aquatics. It exceeds the capacity of the current heater, and installation is anticipated to require 1 or 2 weeks once the unit arrives, and that's why I felt it was important to get it on tonight's agenda. Fiscal impact is, again, $14,915 with an estimated shipping of $2,000. Funding is available in the Facility Maintenance Fund 540. There will be no general fund impact with this request, so staff recommends that the City Council adopt the resolution authorizing the purchase of the Lochinvar Copper Fin 2 500,000 BTU pool heater for $14,915.54 plus shipping from Lincoln Aquatics for the Oakdale Community Pool to be funded by Facility Maintenance Fund 540. And with that, we'll take questions.
Jerry, this is where a lot of our seniors take classes. Is that correct? Senior citizens, not
Yes.
senior high school seniors. Yeah.
Yes.
This is very important. One thing, can you please bring back the high dive? I do have a picture of me years ago. I did go down it a few times. Anyway, thank you for this, and I think, Tim, thank you. This is kind of a no-brainer for our community.
I'm going to front myself up. I actually stopped reading at the one item before this, and I don't know why, so I did not see this until tonight. Is it common for public pools to have heaters? Okay. I had no idea that public pools had heaters, so.
Come up to the microphone, please.
Good evening.
Good evening. Public pools are normally between 76 to 86 degrees, so that's what they normally keep them. Sometimes when we have the early morning swim lessons, we have kids that don't want to go in the water because the pool's cold, and then a lot of the aerobics in the morning, they're complaining about it. We've had complaints because it's been off and on for the last couple of years about the water being cold. So trying to fix it this year to get it up and going, and we couldn't do it.
If we plan on continuing to have those classes, this
Yeah.
is very important for especially our seniors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's why I preface this with, hey, this is kind of a semi-emergency item.
We don't want them coming here, no.
Yeah.
We want to,
Yeah, we
This
had
is a big
complaints
deal.
last year for them, and they were saying, hey, we need to do something about it, and so this year, since we couldn't get it fixed, and we've been working on it basically all winter, so.
And I'm going to guess, with new equipment, the energy costs are probably gonna go down
Yes.
as well.
So it's basically the same unit, but it's a newer model, so it's gonna be more energy efficient and everything.
So if I need a heated pool, I'll go there instead of going on my own.
There you go. All right, any questions, comments from council? Comments from the public? This is an action item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilmember Patassi,
Yes.
Councilmember Kettering,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch, and Mayor Reyes.
Yes, item passes 5-0. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you, Tim. All right, item 12.1, 8:39 PM. City Manager, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No. I think I've added enough tonight.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
All right, we do have Love Oakdale, as Councilmember Patassi was saying earlier, coming up this Saturday. So, loveoakdale.com to sign up for projects, to help out the community. Let's see, we have our IMDES 29th Annual Festa at 5748 Albers Road, Saturday from 4 to 10, and Sunday from 10 to 5. Everybody's welcome and encouraged to attend. It is a free event that we have for our community, and donations are always welcome. With that,
One quick thing.
yes.
I want to also encourage everybody for Love Oakdale. I'm always on the same team every year doing the photography for the event. Historically, we've had 7 to 10 photographers. I talked to the project leader about an hour before this meeting, and it's me and her right now. So I'm assuming volunteers are down a little bit this year. So if you can do it, please do it. And one thing, I've had this conversation with the city manager already. The most common email, text, phone call I've gotten the last 2 weeks are regarding kids on electric bikes. I've gotten videos sent to me. I've seen personally, I got cussed out by 3 of them when they were told by me to get off the soccer fields at Gregor Sports Park behind the locked fences. They yelled, flipped me off, did wheelies right by me, told me my 95-pound Rottweiler was a certain kind of dog. Something needs to get done. These kids are going to get hurt or killed. They're riding erratically. They're going to damage city parks. Just an hour before this meeting, I saw one riding through the basin in the Red Park, doing burnouts in the grass. This was at 4:30 today. So it's a daily occurrence that I'm seeing things, and I walk my dog all over the city, so I happen to see quite a bit when I'm out there. I'd like to ask the city manager, police chief, whichever one is more appropriate, to see what other ordinances are out there in other cities to add some enforcement level capabilities for these kids. Not because I don't want to see them out having fun. I'd rather see them out there on bicycles like a lot of us did growing up, pedaling until the streetlights came on. I'd rather see them doing that than sitting in front of a computer screen. But I don't want to see Chief Grogan or somebody else having to knock on a parent's door saying your kid was killed. Because I've seen almost 2 accidents in just the past week where a kid was doing a wheelie and almost got T-boned. And this is in a residential section. I'm not even speaking main highways. And I talked to a group of kids 3 nights ago on their bikes. One of them, 13 years old, told me the one he was on goes 53 miles an hour. They're electric motorcycles. They're not e-bikes. Some of them are. They're electric motorcycles, and they're dangerous. So I'd like to see the city look into an ordinance that when they are not complying, there can be some serious enforcement up into including impoundment of the bicycles.
I agree with that. Manteca just in January had an ordinance take effect, and in the first week they impounded 18 bicycles.
So we're aware of this. Chief Grogan and I have had some conversations. I'll let him update council on it.
Yeah, I received the same emails, phone calls. That is definitely one of my top complaints in the last several weeks. We are in talks with Manteca PD. Their enforcement actions is mainly dealing with the street takeovers, not necessarily the e-bikes in parks like our issues. But I do see those both go hand in hand with the impounds. Modesto PD is also currently redoing muni codes as well, which I'm hoping by our next council meeting in May, we'll be bringing a new ordinance to the council to possibly adopt. So,
Thank you, Chief.
I think it'd be perfect to bring up. we've talked about it, creating a dirt track or dirt area for the kids and the e-bikes. We've got a skate park. What if we had a dirt track park for these kids to hang out and ride and do their thing there? Maybe it'll take some of them off the street of running through the parks and basins and tearing stuff up. I think it might be something to look at.
I have a question. Is there a camera by the tunnel over near the vineyards behind the hospital?
That tunnel logistically is a little difficult to get a camera. I'm not sure where we're at on that. I've looked several times when I was the chief of police. Just logistically to get one there is extremely difficult. They may have updated something. Chief Grogan, can
I
you advise?
was texted this morning about this topic with the bicycles, that they're hanging out there and causing a lot of noise for the neighbors in that area.
I'll check into it. I believe there's no pole for access there and power, but I'll check tomorrow.
Okay, I know there are lights in the tunnel, so I'm not sure if a camera could go there.
And I'm wondering we're obviously not the only community that's dealing with that. I mean, we're not special. I mean, you're saying Modesto. I've seen the stuff in Manteca. I've talked to family in other parts of the state. It's similar. I'm wondering at what point there's going to be potentially some grant-funded money to be able to add, let's say, overtime for an officer for, this is going to sound silly, but e-bike enforcement. Because for me, it's not as much as enforcement as it is protection. Because again, I see these daily, and I mainly see it right around Bridle Ridge and specifically around the Greger Sports Park. One actually came about 2 inches from probably being T-boned and potentially being killed just 2 nights ago. If the person wouldn't have slammed on their brakes quick enough. So trying to see what's out there to potentially fund additional, observation, safety. I'm not a big add cameras person, but if you can look at, an officer, an additional half-time officer, overtime, that kind of stuff, through some type of grant program, I think it'd be amazing.
I'll answer 2 questions. Councilmember Gilbert, we do have a camera. Lieutenant Stevers watching online, and he said that we do have one pointed at the tunnel. And then on yours, the whole last week, we've paid 1 officer on overtime out of general fund to cover just that.
Thank you.
What define, I mean, what is illegal on an e-bike? Basically, like how are we gonna get that?
Well, that's the first
out?
step. You gotta create an ordinance to enforce. And then like in Manteca, they said if it's got a motor on it, it's a motorized vehicle. And so we're gonna police it the same as any other motorized vehicle. You better have a helmet, you better abide the rules of the road, you better, the same law that you would have with any.
What justifies an impounding type of thing too? Obviously, wheelies in the street. But are they okay to be on the sidewalk? Or are they?
It would all depend on how the ordinance is written. I mean, could you have on the sidewalk? I literally got bumped into and almost ran over by one at about 20 miles an hour walking on the sidewalk on Greger about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. So it would all be, at least how I look at it, is it would all be depending on how the ordinance is written.
And that's what we're looking at too. If we could prohibit them from being on the sidewalks, that's one of our biggest safety concerns. And additionally, tearing up the parks, because essentially these are motorcycles. Councilmember Murdoch is correct. There's e-bikes, and then there's what parents are buying that they think are e-bikes when they're not. They're actual motorcycles, which requires all the safety equipment, helmets, blinkers, all that to be on the roadway. So we've actually towed some of the electric motorcycles because the people riding them are unlicensed, and so those do get stored for a certain amount of time. But I think there has to be, we have to keep them out of our assets. We have to protect our assets, which is essentially our parks, Greger Sports Park, that sort of stuff. So
We need to give them somewhere to go, or else they're not gonna get out of the parks, and you're gonna have 1,500 e-bikes, motorcycles in the lot. I mean, if we don't give them somewhere to go, they're just gonna get better at not getting caught.
well, the alternative is not tearing up a park. So,
Not saying tear up a park.
Well, they're essentially going to, so we have to prohibit that first, and then
Well,
that's a
yeah.
different discussion.
They don't have anywhere to go, so they're riding through parks, and they're, instead of going around the park, they're riding through the middle of it, all that kind of stuff. But if we give them somewhere to go, just like we gave skateboards, the rollerblades, scooters, all that kind of stuff. We gave them somewhere to go, and that's where they congregate. Yeah, they still go through town to get there, but just like with e-bikes, they're gonna continue ripping around the parks and wherever they want, and just get better at not getting caught, unless they have a park to go to. I'm not saying it's gonna eliminate everything, but you give them a place to go, be better.
All
I
right.
think Jared is volunteering to head that committee.
Yep.
All
Do
right.
it.
With that, I do want to thank the Oakdale Saddle Club for putting on an awesome rodeo this year. Of course, our police, our fire, our public works, just pretty much everybody within the city that spent countless hours out there. And then Modesto had their mounted unit. Was that correct? The mounted unit?
We got help from across the law enforcement organization,
Yeah.
or the law enforcement community. We had Sheriff's Department, California Highway Patrol, the Modesto Mounted unit was out. Modesto Traffic was out to help with the parade. It was basically a law enforcement community event that came together and kept us safe. Led by
We
led
had
by,
Pearl
Chief
and
Grogan.
ABC as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for keeping us safe during Cowgirl Luncheon. Speaking on behalf of like 600 women, we appreciate it. And then, of course, for the Cowboy Museum, we just want to say thank you for all that they did for that week. So with that, we will see you in 2 and 2.
Hold on.
Yes.
I wanted to add to your compliment. I got to ride out with the police department Saturday night, and I got to witness OPD in action, and it was awesome to see all the officers. I think I got home at 4 in the morning, and it was a long, fun, interesting night. And I just want to give OPD and management a big round of applause. But you get to watch the men and women that were out there and how they operated, and there were some things that happened, and just to stand back and watch, it was very impressive. So OPD kicked butt, and everybody that came to help out, they did a great job in working with Oakdale and asking and being supportive of whatever they needed. So it was a good show.
I think you picked the right weekend to ride out.
Yeah, it was strategical.
Good stuff. All right, well, we'll see you on May 4th. Have a great 2 weeks. See you then at 6:30. Meeting adjourned.